Now, I have been able to tell you in short about Vishuddhi Chakra. Let's go to the another chakra here, which is called as the Agya. Agya Chakra resides in the center of optic chiasma. Optic chiasma is the one which crosses each other, and in the center of it is the special center called as Agya Chakra. It is a very subtle center, and this center is adorned by our Lord Jesus Christ. He is the son of Mahalakshmi. He is the son of the entire power that resides. He is the Mahalakshmi, the Viratangana, the wife of Virat. The power of the primordial. He is the son created by her, and is very well described in the Devi Purana and other books, which are not yet translated, I think, in English, as Mahavishnu. He is called as Mahavishnu. So the Vishnu's greater form, but he is the son of Vishnu. He is the son of Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna has described him as somebody who is the Adhara, is the support of the whole universe. He has given him a higher position than himself. See? And he said this one when he will be coming on this earth. He will prove all that I have said. He will prove because he will be the essence. He will be the Omkara. He will be the all-pervading power. He will walk on the water. Not only, but he will be resurrected. His body will be resurrected. He has described him fully there, and he has given him the highest position, that he is the Adhar. He is the support, because he lives there at the Mooladhara also, at the support of the root, and he resides. Actually, he is the Vice Chancellor of this university. We can say that at every point we have to have him to certify. If he is not there, you cannot awaken the Kundalini. If you don't believe in him, you cannot retain your realization. Yesterday, a lady asked me, can we not do it without Christ? I said, I'm sorry. Without Christ, because he is all pervading. He is the Omkara. He is the one who is the power. He is the one who is flowing in us. He is the spirit. Now, if you are seeking the spirit, how can you do it without it? It's an absurd question. It is he came on this one, and this being a narrow path, he had to pass through it to prove what Krishna has said, that it cannot be killed. He got himself crucified. It was a drama played by. His mother was the Holy Ghost, was the part that is the Mahalakshmi, but she didn't say a word about her. He didn't say it. Because if he had said it, people would have put their attention to her. And he is bestowed with 11 powers of destruction. He's such a powerful person. You may show him as a lanky-panky fellow because that satisfies your sadism. You want to see Christ like that. He was not like that. He is only painted by, I think, Rubens very well. But the best is that in the Sistine Chapel, where Michelangelo has really boldly painted him the way he was. He was a tall, not very tall, quite tall, and a very healthy and a hefty person with a big stomach. He is known as Lambodar, with a big stomach. And he could carry such a huge, big cross on his back. So people, when they showed him, then I was amazed at it. How could they show Christ in such a miserable state? How could they do it? Horrible it is. This is just their own expression. That's how they wanted him to be. These are the people who must have definitely crucified Christ, because they like to see him so miserable and unhappy. How can a person who is a realized soul be that? He has to be a cheerful person, fiery, dynamic. It has to be a healthy person. A miserable person, supposing before you stands and talks like this, are you going to believe that person? But this is the way they have treated Christ throughout. They have maligned him and they have treated him there. He's been crucified so many times. I find it impossible to believe that how these people are reborn who crucified him again and again they are crucified. The crucifixion is not the message of Christ. That's why I also don't like people to wear the cross. I can't see the cross. It's not. Cross, of course, is very helpful, because if the bad spirits see the cross, they run away. But it is a reminder of something which was unbearable. Because the mother had all the power, she was Mahalakshmi. He had 11 powers to destroy. You can imagine, he has still those powers, and he had to go through all that without destruction. He saw to it. Now people may say, how was he resurrected? First of all, they have an objection to immaculate conception. I mean, they have objection for everything. He was not a human being. He was the divine power. I conceive you in my heart. Do you know that? And I put my kundalini and I put you on from my heart into it, and I kick you out. The way you have got your second birth, in the same way Christ got his immaculate birth. She put him in the heart and into the uterus down below, and she created him. It's very easy to doubt him and say things against him, because he is no more. And the Jews must learn a lesson now. They denied him once and they have suffered. Now don't deny him again. You cannot deny the person, the embodiment of this divine power. Christians may be blown off. If Christians have tortured you, forget them. They are just the same as you are. Fanatics. Whether they are Christians or they are Muslims, Khomeini is the same as any other person. I do not find any difference whatsoever. Dogmatic, ignorant, fanatic. Forget these people. They do not stand for Christ. Christ himself has said in 2nd chapter, Matthew 2nd verse, you'll be calling me Christ, Christ, I won't recognize you. Who are these? The people who say Christ, we are the solicitors of Christ. We are the people who are in charge of Christ. All of these people will be charged, and they will be thrown away in the hell the way they have managed things about Christ. Some of them are genuine. They don't know that this is artificial. They are genuinely, but they must get their realization. They must ask for their real realization, and they must know what is Christ within themselves. They have to awaken this Christ here. Now, as I was telling you, that Christ said that you are to be born again, that I am to be born in your heart. Now, the heart center is here as well as here, because the heart is controlled by the center at the fontanelle bone area. And that's what he said, that you should get your realization, when he said you should be put in the heart. Now the people of various countries, even your country, went down to India. And they never told that Christ was born, who was the Mahavishnu, because he's already described in the Purana. That he's the Adhara, he's the one who will be once awakened in the Kundalini, by the Kundalini, will suck your karmas. They never went and told, so the Indians went on with their karma theory, and these gurus have come here to teach you karmas. It is amazing how you accept all these theories of nonsense. Like they say that you have to suffer because you have done bad karmas. Then they may say that yes, you can give your balance, but you go this way or that way, and you just keep it to balance. If that is so, that you have to go to one extreme and to another extreme, then what are they doing here? Why are they talking? They should shut up, because they cannot do anything. They cannot give you realization. They cannot save you from this situation. So it's better that you suffer. But why do they say you should suffer? Why should they say? Because they want to enjoy your sufferings. They want you to suffer because they enjoy it. So many of these disciples who came from these horrible gurus, who said you must have your karmas and you must suffer, told me that they saw their gurus giggling at them and mocking at them. And they showed me some of the photographs they had taken of these gurus, which shows complete mockery of these stupid disciples who were suffering in their body and suffering in their mind in the presence of these gurus. So they have a double enjoyment. One, the money, another is the sadism. And third, the greatest of all, that their purpose is to kill you all and to destroy you all because you are God's men, that they achieve by their falsehood, because you are impressed by their falsehood. Now see, if there was any false guru here, this all would be filled, the whole thing would be filled, on the road there would be a jam. But the real guru, I have seen not only here, everywhere, it starts very slowly. Of course, in a place where people are very simple and who are very sensitive, it's a different one. But the people in a city especially, they are so insensitive to reality and so sensitive to devils that it is surprising. They feel very much at home with the devils and very much lost with the reality. Because you are in falsehood. So you must know that you have to become the real. You have to become that which is the spirit, which is not so far, is shining in your central nervous system, in your awareness. And this is the spirit, is the one, is Christ. Now, I've spoken before also in the churches, but today for the first time I am speaking about Christ in a church. And that's why I was very happy that at least in this church I would say something that would establish it, and that when people will come here, I hope they get their realization, and that something works out here, they get at least the awakening, because so many saints are sitting in front of me. Maybe that one day will come in this church, maybe it may work out that people will get their realization. Christ's life was only for 3-4 years. Nobody allowed him to live longer than that. Whatever was possible was done, but such stupid people, you could not talk to them. And that's how they killed him. He could not speak to them anymore, and that's how his life was finished. But in that small life of his, what a spark it was. What a spark it was. The way people have behaved towards him is atrocious. I must say the apostles themselves, because this Matthews and this, he was such an intellectual, he would not accept the idea of Immaculate Conception. Very difficult man. He would argue it out. He said, if a virgin is going to give the child, then everybody is going to say that it's a very, very blasphemous thing, it's a very, very illegitimate thing, and it should not be spoken of. Horrible fellow, and one better than the other. And when they took up about the spreading of Christianity, they took it in such a funny way, because they became supraconscious before. They started speaking the languages of so many people. That part of Babel is wrong, where they became not realized. The wind part is all right. But so many people I have seen who come to my program, when they come for realization, they feel the wind for a while and immediately they shunt off and become supraconscious. Now we'll see what is supraconscious entry and the subconscious entry. Now you see here there are two buds. These are the two petals. One controls, of course, the pituitary, that controls the ego, and the pineal, that controls the superior. But this also has a capacity to blow this out this way and blow this out this way. Supposing you become supraconscious, or you start thinking too much about something about the future, what must be the galaxy, you should find out about it, and you must find out about the stars and about all these things and about future, about, say, prophecies, what else is that, is astrology and all these. You say futuristic. You people are mostly futuristic. You try to plan, you try to do, and every plan fails, of course. But this thinking of planning of too much can push this up this side too much. Actually, as shown here is this side, but actually when it is placed like this. The ego is placed like this and the superego is like this. Here we could not show the three dimensions. So from the back to this side is the superego, and from here to here is the ego. Now this ego floats out this way, into this side. And when it floats out this side, it goes into the supraconscious area. So it comes up this side. Now the supraconscious area gives you visions, hallucinations. LSD does that. LSD does that. Then you start seeing some eye of a person who is a dead person but a very ambitious person. For example, you might get the vision of Hitler. You might get the vision of, say, all these horrible kings. You might see colors. You may see auras. And one has to understand here that these auras starts coming to us because we shift, we disintegrate from our being. That's how we start seeing something else separated from us. To see auras is not a good sign in surgery. If you are seeing auras, we have to bring you back to the same position because you have to be in the present and not in the future. You get disintegrated. For example, if there's a machine, say, which takes the auras. I was talking to someone who has done that work of aura picturing. Now, after realization, you don't get any auras in a person. Cannot get any auras in a person because he's integrated, completely integrated. But when he is in a mess, you start getting the auras. Like if he has cancer, you will get auras. If he is an alcoholic, you will get auras. They can't be crazy auras. A normal person may have auras, not so much crazy. But auras you cannot feel when the whole thing is integrated. You can see in a say, light. If there is no aberration, that means it's a good light. If there is aberration, then it's a bad light. All the seven colors of a light has to be concentrated and has to be integrated. If they are prismatic and if they are giving you separately, then it is not one integration. And when it is one integration, then you cannot see seven lights. So the person is not integrated. Now all these auras come to us because we are made of 7 type of cocoons within us. But the people who are on the right side only believe in the 5 cocoons. They call them koshas. I don't think if I have time for that, but these are the koshas are created by, one is created by the first center, by the second center, by the third center. This is the physical things. By the 4th one, then the 5th one, and the 6th and the 7th are the things that they do not create auras outside. They create inside near the heart. And these are created near the heart, but as soon as you get your realization, they all become one. They all merge into one, and that is the spirit. So, as if you can say, when the spirit exists in a prismatic state, then you get the auras of 7. But when it becomes integrated, that you become one, all the auras become one. So integration is the aim of Sahaja Yoga. And now I think I have told you how you can also go to the subconscious area the same way. The subconscious area you can move on the left hand side. If you move into collective subconscious area, say for example, you can be triggered into cancer. By this triggering, you might get heart attacks and things like that. Diabetes now. Many people believe sugar gives you diabetes is nonsense. Sugar doesn't give you diabetes. What gives you diabetes is too much thinking. Those who do not think too much never get, Indian farmers never get diabetes, they don't know what disease is. Because you think too much, you work too much, this center works too much. It has to create food for the brain. It has to replace the brain centers. And these brain centers are to be replaced. For that it creates out of fat the new centers, the evolved cells that are sent here, and because of that work. If it is too much, it neglects the other things which it has to work out throughout. One of them is the spleen, another is pancreas, and when it neglects the pancreas, you get diabetes. Not by sugar, of course, sugar because it has to convert it into fat. But if you do not have sugar, then it's a double work. If you have sugar, it converts it into fat and makes it useful for your brain. But if you think too much, then and you don't take sugar, it's a double action. But if you just take sugar and do not think, also can be problematic because he has to convert too much of into fat. You see, so too much work is given, there is no balance. So one has to understand that too much sugar is not good, but you must take sugar because the sugar is needed, and stop your thinking. How do you stop your thinking? Only by rising above the Agya Chakra. This is a very, very important point at Agya, that you must know that the thinking stops. Now the thinking comes to you like this, like a wave. It rises, the thought, and falls off. Another thought rises and falls off. In between there is a place called as Vilamba. Now when the thought rises, it automatically falls down. You can see the rising of the thought but not falling off. Now this space is the place of present. This rises either from the ego or superego and goes into the past. The in-between space is the present. One is the future, one is the past. Now this space has to increase. When it increases, then what happens is that Agya Chakra opens more and you become thoughtlessly aware. You become thoughtlessly aware. You come in the present. There's no thought. And thought is the barrier between the creation and ourselves. For example, you look at this, say, a beautiful stone that is placed there, or anything. You watch it. Now, if you want to think, oh, it looks like a man, it looks like a devil, or it looks like a god, or whatever it is, there's a thought you're putting. So what you do when you are realized, you just watch. And whatever the joy is put there of the creator, of an artist, completely is within you, because there is no thought, there is no weight, there is no disturbance. In a completely silent lake, all that is around it, all that creation comes into it, absolutely reflected, and you enjoy it in thoughtless awareness, called as Nirvichar Samadhi. This complete Nirvichara, where you have no thought and you start enjoying that creation complete. The joy of that is there. Nothing is lost. So the thoughtless awareness comes in when the Kundalini crosses this Agya Chakra. It does double work. First, it makes you thoughtlessly aware. Secondly, because the Kundalini, if it has pierced through, it pushes these and she fills these with the grace. The grace falls on this. When the grace comes in, you start relaxing. These centers also relax. These centers are in attention. But when the grace comes in, they go back into normal. So there is more sort of expansion, and the thoughtless awareness starts establishing itself at the Agya Chakra. Now the mantra of Agya Chakra is the Lord's Prayer. It has got two sides, Hum and Sham. Hum means I am, and Sham means I forgive. So if supposing this is catching, you have to say I forgive. If there is ego within us, you should say I forgive. If there is superego within us, you should say I am. I am. So it is Hum and Sham is the bija, is the seed of the prayer, Lord's Prayer. Now there are people who are talking the Lord's Prayer is not all right. I mean, who are you? What do you know about it? Everybody is challenging everyone. What do you know? What is your authority? The trouble is, everybody is entitled to do what they like with religion and with God. Though they do not know anything about it, they are absolutely ignorant, but they think they have a right, because there is no political control over it. Even Hitler can talk about Christ. Anybody can talk about him and about the prayer that he taught you. Who are you to challenge it? Who are you to challenge him? I can't understand. How do you challenge a person without knowing your own position in relation to him. But this is a very, very common thing that people do, and is due to ego. Ego makes you high-handed. And this is the worst type of high-handedness, that you challenge God, you challenge Christ, you challenge everything which you don't understand. Your mind is limited. It's a very limited vehicle. You cannot do anything with this mind of yours. You have to go beyond it. Somebody has to trigger you into the space. You have to go into there. You have to become the spirit. Only by realizing your spirit you can get connected with God. Before that you are not connected. That's why you have to become the spirit. And the spirit is the connection, is the link with God. There is no other way you can be linked with God. If you want to keep yourself in delusion, you go ahead with it. But this is the real thing I'm telling you, the true thing I'm telling you, for which you should know you cannot pay, you cannot purchase it, you cannot demand it, and you cannot work it out. The grace of God has to come, fall upon you to do it, or a person who is enlightened can only enlighten. Now, about Christ, if I have to speak, I've spoken once on Christ for 7 days, one after another. There's no end to it. There is such a great incarnation that I just do not know how to say that I've spoken all about it. As it is, we have many tapes in London. You can send for it. We are now going to have a center here. Herman has offered his place, and we'll be sending those tapes there. At least 300 tapes you have got in London, which you can listen to and see for yourself. And all of these tapes are very good because they are actually mantras. They work out the mantras, and you also get listening to them, opening of your centers and all that. Now the last